Well, I don't really consider myself any kind of a watch reviewer, but there's not a lot actually out there on this watch, even though there's a little bit out there on its sibling that's just out of camera. This one is the SRPE65K1, which I picked up for quite a, well, maybe 20 or 30% less than the 61K1, which commonly gets called the Dress KX, which is interesting because basically it's the same case as the SKX 007, but it's actually a little bit different in that, for a start, it has a display back, and you can actually easily see things moving around in there, which is kind of part of the interesting parts of owning a fully mechanical watch. But it's an interesting hybrid of the DNA of a diver's watch, because the case is a diver's case, because it's actually the same case that's used in the SKX 007, but it doesn't have the rotating bezel, which some people find a little bit divisive. I certainly like diver's watches. My first Seiko analog was actually a diver's watch, which was a Sports 100, which I had for nearly 30 years now. But I do like the divers for the absolute ease of legibility of the face. They're just fantastic, you know. But getting rid of the bezel on this has actually turned it into a much more dressy looking watch. Like, you know, you wear this and it shines, and it seems like a fairly classy watch. Now, this model's got the plain green face, which I actually find really enhances legibility. Now, the other version has this beautiful black eranthosite face, but depending on the way the light lands on it, it's hard to see in here, but sometimes you get these spectral reflections off the face that really obscure the hands, and you can't actually be quite sure where the hands are. Now, it's a lovely piece, and I like the color of it a lot, but it's got its downsides. So while I really like it, let's see if I can get that to sit nicer. Yep, look at that. I can't. So there we go. You can have a look at it there. One of the features that I find really good about this watch is this back. Like if we were to call, the part that's further back down your wrist, this curve is really nice and gentle. And even though the outside of the watch, of the face, is larger, back down where the wrist is, it's actually smaller, so it tends to sit on my wrist nicely. Now, I'm actually left-handed, so when I put the watch on, I find that it gives me good amounts of clearance at the back of the wrist when it would otherwise tend to bite in a little bit at the back there. So that's a really nice feature. Now, compared to getting an SKX and modding it yourself, you're actually getting a better movement straight away with the 4R36 movement, which I don't think that the SKX has. But you're also getting drilled lugs. Now, don't just write off drilled lugs as being unimportant, because you can get a pin down there. In fact, you can buy, usually they come for like $4 from eBay, a small tool to allow you to push exactly down that hole. And that allows you to get a stuck spring bar out. Now, I wanted to put a new face on my, a new band on my Sports 100, but it was a devil of a job to get those lugs out, the spring bars out. So I actually ended up taking a screwdriver and inserting it in here and hoping for the best. And it actually snapped fairly easily because it had been diving a few times and the spring bar was rusty as all get out. So that was good. It came off without too much of a fight. I've put a brand new set of spring bars in it, and it's great. But there's something that I really like about this hybrid of diver and dress. You know, it's actually comfortable. It's very easy to read. It's very clear on the dial, and yet, you know, it doesn't look like something that it's become quite fashionized. But really, this is a 100-meter waterproof or 10 bar water resistant watch. So, you know, there's no reason why you can't just wear this and get a bit of splashing around in the surf. Now, there's I mean, not with a leather band, but you know, with the with this kind of band, or with my NATO strap on it, yeah, no worries at all. There's been a few, you know, people point out that, and by a few people I mean people who actually know what they're talking about, that the whole 100-meter water resistance thing is a little bit overblown. For a start, you know, mostly I've never gone down below 20 meters, and snorkeling is pretty much, you know, where I'm normally at. So this watch would actually do exactly that if I just swapped out the band. And sure, it doesn't have a locking crown like my like my Sports 100 does, but I don't really need that because this, I mean, obviously it doesn't have a locking crown, but it just makes the whole aspect of using the watch easier. Now let's see if I can get a decent angle on the yeah, it's a bit hard to see the little wheel turning in there, but it's one of the nice things about owning a mechanical watch is that, and an automatic watch, is that you can show people that it actually moves around. You know, it's not just, you know, electronics. It's not just like an iPhone or an iWatch or something like that. It's actually a really nice, reliable piece of jewelry, basically, and functional as well. Anyway, I hope that you find this a little bit useful. I think it's probably the best watch I've bought since my Sports 100. So that's probably the best watch I've bought in like 30 years. So I'm really happy with these two. And yeah, I'm pretty sure if you got one, you'd enjoy it too.